just telling you, there was a guy up there in Nashville, and he's one of our buddies, Julian Mininsohn. Julian, I do see that you got rid of your Titans poster or whatever it is that you had the last time that you joined.
It's changed now.
What is this?
Okay, well, it was.
Now it's nothing. Now it's nothing.
It was, what's his name, the former Oregon quarterback.
It was Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota, yeah. and then it was somebody else, and now
it's been two different people now.
Yeah,
I didn't see the middle guy. Who was the middle guy?
There was a picture of my sports director right there.
No,
he's always looking over my shoulder.
It was somebody on the Titans earlier.
That's a little self-serving. That's all I'm gonna say.
Maybe I don't know if it was it Jake Locker or somebody like that. I have no idea.
I don't know. What's happened is Julian was really, really hot on everybody at the beginning of the season, and now he just said, you know what? I'm tearing down every single poster. I'm done with everything. Burn it all down. I'm just kidding. Julian, what's up, man? How are you?
That's kind of how fans feel about the Titans right now. They don't want anything to do with wearing it. It's an embarrassment to walk around in the Titans jersey right now, and so luckily Vanderbilt is still doing pretty okay. So it's like some saving grace here for Nashville sports, which is kind of in the dumps at the moment.
Well, listen, I think pretty okay by Vanderbilt standard is good. You know, like we can say good, right? Vanderbilt's they're still in the mix, in the conversation. Julian, kind of what is the tone right now? Obviously, this is a big opportunity this week. This is a team that, did lose there to Alabama. Where are we at right now with Vanderbilt, with Diego Pavia, and has there been any drop off in terms of kind of the energy and the vibe of maybe what things were a couple weeks ago?
You know, I think if you told me at the beginning of the year they'd sit at this point in the season with just one loss, I think any Vanderbilt fan would gladly take that.
Question.
I think Vanderbilt themselves probably might even take that given the schedule that they've had to this point. But I do think the bye came at the perfect time. I mean, you had a bunch of road victories, South Carolina and Virginia Tech, and then you have obviously the tough loss to Alabama. We talked about it on this show, guys, at the beginning of the season. Vanderbilt has the second toughest schedule in the country, according to ESPN analytics coming into the season. So this break that they have before this next stretch of games, I think, came at the right time. I do think there is an attitude right now that everything is still in front of them. Mm-hmm. They're treating this game against LSU as kind of like a quasi-elimination game because of what you have in front of them is multiple ranked teams with Mizzou, Texas, Tennessee. You want to be the team that goes into that stretch with one loss rather than the team that goes into that stretch with two losses if you are trying to indeed make the playoff. Now, I will say, I think a lot of people laughed at Diego Pavia at the start of the year when they said, I want to compete for national championships. But they are very much still in the mix for a playoff spot. But they're going to have to, like you mentioned, October, you got to take care of business, and this is where they got to do it.
I think the bye came at kind of a perfect time for this team. You go to Tuscaloosa, you compete, you play really well. The score a little deceiving as far as the way the game was played overall. Then they get the bye, and now LSU. LSU comes in as the team that's ranked higher in the polls. But Vanderbilt is the actual favorite in the matchup. Break down what this team is thinking going into this matchup as the favorite, but also coming off the loss knowing that they need to regroup a bit.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Vanderbilt coming in as the favorites. First time they've been favored over LSU, and I was reading like 77 years, which is
there it is, 1948 right there.
Yeah, forever. So that's pretty crazy, and I think that's just a testament to the job that Clark Lee has done over the last year and a half to not only get the players to the roster, what he likes to do, but also have the coaching staff in place, have the camaraderie and the chemistry with Diego Pavia and the rest of the offense was playing well up until that Alabama game. Now, I think a lot of also the point spread and Vandy being favored has something to do with Vanderbilt, but it also has something to do with maybe LSU not playing as well as maybe we'd expected. I mean, you guys know LSU's offense has struggled at times this season. They've been carried by an elite defense, and I think the fact that Vanderbilt's offense is one of the best in the country still, to this point in the season would lend itself to being that, I think, a point and a half, 2.5, something like that right now. So I think the attitude is Vanderbilt is still going to be confident. They know how easy it is to lose games in this conference. This program has particularly lost games over recent memory. They just got good yesterday. So I think they're not taking it for granted. And they know that if you give LSU a little bit of rhythm, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. It could be a long day for you.
Julian, I'm going to say something that I don't often say. Can we both have been right? Because I don't want to say I was right. But what I want to offer you is that we were both right. Vanderbilt is better. Vanderbilt is good. Vanderbilt is a contender, and Vanderbilt might not win a national championship. Like, those two things can coexist, and we can both be right. Is that fair to say from an assessment from our first conversation during the preseason?
No, absolutely. I think they are taking steps forward, but and I don't think these teams are necessarily like an LSU or an Alabama. I don't think they're overlooking Vanderbilt anymore.
Oh, that's without question. You can't. But you can't.
Yeah, you absolutely cannot. But then you look at this team and you have to see over this stretch of games if they are indeed ready to take the next step after that, which is consistently competing for playoff spots. Now, after this year, you think about Diego Pavia is not going to be here. You know, Eli Stowers.
Who knows? Who knows on that, man? I would not listen. I don't know what the over-under, the spread, the line, the whatever you want to call it. The odds on that are. We'll see. Year 25.
He's a professional student. Yeah, he's like Van Wilder. You know what I mean? But
Van Wilder, that's a great reference.
Love this.
Eli Stowers is not going to be here anymore. He's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. So can you consistently, if you're Clark Lee as a program, do this year in and year out against some of the best schools in the country in the SEC conference? I think that's the big question. Now, do I think they're going to go undefeated in this stretch of games? No, which makes this LSU game that much more important. But if you get out of this, this entire season, given it the second toughest schedule in the country with, 3 losses, let's say, even 4, I think that's a huge step forward for this program.
Yeah, LSU's offense has been really struggling, and we've kind of seen it, and you're just waiting for that tide to turn there with LSU. But given Vanderbilt's defense is really solid. So as far as Vanderbilt's offense against that, as you said, elite LSU defense, what's the magic number? I mean, because at this point, it seems like right now, if you score 21, you got a good chance to beat LSU.
Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere around that 24 to 28 kind of mark just to be safe. It's all going to be dependent if Vanderbilt can run the ball. In the victories this year, Vanderbilt dominated on the ground, which means they were dominating on the offensive line, winning first downs, putting Diego Pavia in manageable downs and distances. But more than anything, they're winning the time of possession. And sometimes against these teams in the SEC, whether you're playing Alabama and Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier and LSU, you name it, sometimes the best defense is to keep an offense off the field, even if they've been struggling like LSU has done. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. Long, sustained drives if you're Vanderbilt. They have a flurry of running backs that they can go to. And I think just the physicality that they've played with this season wears teams down over the course of 4 quarters, which is something that they did in every game except the game against Alabama.
If there's one thing that cost them in that game, in a perfect setup, is the turnovers. We know that there were huge opportunities. It's not like Alabama ran away with the game. No, it's not like it was it felt like Alabama was in control of the game.
Yeah.
It's not like they blew out Vanderbilt. I think both teams probably walked off feeling like, okay, that was a really hard battle. It just, there were costly errors, and by way of some turnovers there in the red, specifically by Diego Pavia. Obviously, that's something that I'm sure that they have really harped on over the bye week and going into this game against LSU, who has a lot of hard-nosed guys. I mean, this is a team that just plays with a grit. There's no question about that. Clark Lee spoke about limiting turnovers this week as they gear up for this game. Let's take a listen to Coach and then break that down.
That's the game, and I think of turnover avoidance, we don't want to play as though we're avoiding, because I don't think that results in anything that you're proud of in terms of what the game looks like. We want to play aggressive, assertive football, but ball decisions will be critical. There are going to be times where taking a sack is a good play, and we want to try to create as many possessions as we can for our offense, knowing that possessions will be limited because of the way both offenses play. And when we possess the ball, we want to maintain possession of it. So I think that's a huge stat, obviously, coming out of the Alabama game, too, something we wanted to work on to correct. We have all the faith in the world in Diego to make the great decisions. And when he does take his risks as a defense, we need to have his back. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But possession will be a huge part of the outcome.
One of the things they say about winning, I was about to call you Diego Pavia. One of the things they say about winning, Julian, is that you find fans that dust off their clothes and dust off their hats, and they're able to jump on board. Given that the Alabama game was there, and you guys alluded to just how well they played in that game, and they're undefeated going into that football game, how much more invested will this crowd be going into this matchup against LSU? Because LSU is always known as the place of everybody asking about going to Death Valley. I mean, I'm not saying that Nashville is going to be the white out of Happy Valley at Penn State, but I think that it's going to be a great crowd, a great opportunity for people of Tennessee to support this team.
Yeah, and that's going to be the interesting question here, is because this is the first SEC home game that Vanderbilt has had, but all their other home games this year they've sold out. Now the teams that they played at home this year, Charleston Southern, Georgia State, Utah State, they're not exactly bringing a huge crowd to Nashville. The LSU fans are going to travel, so I'm interested to see kind of the ticket allotment there, and how much of purple is going to be in the crowd. But this is a huge chance for these Vanderbilt fans to show out for their team, because they're going to need it. They know that these wins are hard to come by in the SEC. Simone, you mentioned it. That Alabama game, though it was 30-14, wasn't exactly indicative of just how close that game was. You take those two turnovers from Pavia in the red zone turned into maybe a 20-point switch, and Vanderbilt loses by 16. There's the difference in these games.
You're right.
The margin of error is so thin, and sometimes that crowd can make a difference. I think it's going. If I had to guess, I think LSU fans are going to be surprised of night and day difference. Maybe the last time they traveled to Vanderbilt. How many more fans are going to be more invested into this program? Because even though they lost to Bama, they still could smell at least a quality bowl game right in front of them.
Julian, we talked with Brian Holland down in Baton Rouge yesterday about LSU Vanderbilt a few years ago, and how they had to bring in more beer trucks. Do you think that Vanderbilt's prepared this time, or do you think they're gonna have to call in reinforcements again?
Well, I hope so. I mean, they just started renovated that whole stadium on that one side of the stadium. If they didn't include the beer in that bill, I don't know what you're doing over there. I mean, this is Nashville after all. One thing that we do well, if it's not Titans football or Vanderbilt football up until recently, is bachelor and bachelorette parties. I'm telling you, So we know the people of Baton Rouge like to party, and so hopefully we'll show them some southern hospitality right there, and have the beer allotment ready to go.
Listen, if you stay ready, you never have to get ready.
Nashville stays ready.
Stay ready. You don't have to get ready. Before we let you go, Gerhard, I'm going to let you do the honors on this one. Just talking a little bit about this weekend's matchup, and just kind of the interesting storyline there for the Titans, welcoming in the Patriots, and a familiar face with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I find this matchup insanely ironic on a lot of different ways. The former head coach for the Tennessee Titans is now, I'll put it in dating sense. He's dating a new girl, and he's now about
a hotter
to go,
one, probably.
Right, exactly. You know what? As a Patriots fan, I love that you say that. All right, so then now he's coming back to Tennessee this week.
Dang.
What's the state of the fans overall? Given the way that Vrabel was treated on the way out, they hire Brian Callahan. Callahan's now done. QB1 is now saying you know what, and it looks like the world's on fire there in Tennessee.
Man. Vrabel's going to come in here and hang a 50-piece on him or something.
Gerhard just said that in the break.
Vrabel earlier this week was saying, that his return to Tennessee was interesting but not important, and that's more than I've ever expected Vrabel to say. And then he kind of gave a smirk, which he knows what this game means. Now he's never going to make it he's never going to make it about himself,
right?
But he will if they win, 41-14, and privately probably saying something to his close buddies like, yeah, we gave it to him good. And it's so funny because I found the timing of the firing so interesting, because the Titans have been playing like garbage through the first whatever games, even the game that they won.
Yes.
But I was curious about the timing, and if you're the owner, Amy Adams Strunk, makes more sense to fire Brian Callahan before this game rather than after, because then you're making it seem like, well, Vrabel beating us made me fire this guy. And so
let me tell you how the female brain works, okay? She's trying to figure out what she can get out of this, and a big gate is what it is, okay, guys? So go look at the ticket prices and tell me right now it's not a hotter ticket than every other game that they've had. That's all I'm going to say. Women, wait, listen, y'all playing checkers when we playing chess, all right? Make no mistake. That's all I got to say.
Well, if Vrabel, is the ex-girlfriend always wants to show, the old boyfriend what she's missing out on. And so that's exactly what Mike Vrabel is going to try to do on Sunday. So, yeah.
Chestnut checkers, friends. Julian, appreciate you, man. One of a kind, as always, sir. Thank you for your time. Enjoy in a very exciting weekend of sports, bachelorette parties, and much more with Fireball there in Nashville this weekend, my guy.
Thank you, guys. Anytime.